So, I was watching a couple of discussion and review videos on YouTube the other day, and I was watching them because, of course, I was watching some Atop the Fourth Wall, and one of the videos that got recommended to me was Linkara's Patreon review of The Killing Joke, the 2016 animated adaptation of the 1988 graphic novel of the same name. And it got my curiosity, turned up a little bit. So I was watching other videos, reviews, and discussions. And one was by Awesome Comics. Now, Awesome Comics used to be a show on, courtesy of Channel Awesome, which also is the main home of Nostalgia Critic, aka Doug Walker. Now, I watched the Awesome Comics panel, and one of the girls on that panel brought up an interesting topic. You see, one of the things that kind of follows, Bruce Timm around a lot is the fact that anytime he's worked on a DC animated project, he's always used that opportunity to pair up certain people, in a romantic, situation, whether fans agreed with it or not. And one of those main couples that he would always look at and kind of, basically utilize and pair together was Barbara Gordon, a.k.a. Batgirl, and Bruce Wayne, Batman. And a lot of people looked at this, took note of it, and they're like, yeah, that doesn't work, Bruce. That is not right. That cannot happen. And the reason for it was, well, several. One, in several episodes of Batman the Animated Series, and even the New Adventures of Batman and Robin, which was pretty much the same show, just different art style and everything, and different title. Basically, she was romantically paired up with Dick Grayson, a.k.a. the original Robin, a.k.a. Nightwing. So she was paired up with him. But apparently, anytime Bruce Timm came around and kind of wanted to oversee things or write episodes, he would try to pair her up with Bruce. So, yeah. A lot of fans were not too thrilled with that. Like, you're going from someone that's appropriately her age to be with, who she knows very well, in Dick Grayson, a.k.a. Nightwing, and now you want to pair her up with somebody that's basically like an uncle, a father, a mentor figure to her in Bruce Wayne, Batman. But, that's what Bruce Timm wanted to do. And look, it's understandable that if you have the right to, you have the opportunity, the power, if you will, to write an official story or official something for something like DC or Warner Brothers, you're going to take that opportunity, if it's okay with them, to ship who you want to ship and leave it up to the interpretation of the fans. And that's the one thing this girl at the Awesome Comics panel brought up, that, she understands where Tim's coming from because she would probably do the same thing for her favorite ships if she had the opportunity. And I think that does speak volumes because I think that speaks for all of us. Why do you think when we do fan fictions or fan web comics or fan animations or what have you, radio dramas, comic dramas, you name it, why do you think, we as writers or artistic, artists, why do you think we like to pair certain ships together even if they don't make sense? It's because we feel and believe they're meant to be, and to us it only makes sense. For example, when people pair up Sonic with Amy, it's mainly because, of course, Amy has been with, been with Sonic, on screen, as a character and everything, playable or not, since 1993, 1994. And also the other factor is she's a hedgehog. Now, some might say, well, that Amy that debuted, that doesn't count. The redesigned Amy that we saw in Sonic Adventure and moving forward, that does count. And a lot of people would say, and point out that if you look at how she's been portrayed lately, it makes more sense. And in a way it does. There's no denying that. But Sega has not officially said, that they're an item or anything. They're just friends. They might hint at something here and there, but they're mainly friends. But when a fan gets their hands, on a pen or a keyboard, a fan through fan fiction or a webcomic or even an animation will basically go out and say, yeah, you, Sega, may not say they're together, but I, as a fan, say they are. Same with Sonic and Sally, same with Tails and Fiona or Tails and Mina, and so on and so forth. People will use the power of creativity, writing, typing, drawing, CGI, whatever, to basically make their ship a reality, whether anybody else agrees with it or not. And officially, when a ship does happen in any capacity, the writer behind it, being a fan themselves maybe, tries to do it without any hindrance, if you will. And that hindrance basically being, whether or not all fans will be okay with it. Good example is Ian Flynn. Ian Flynn tried, give him credit, to do Sonic and Sally, make him a couple again. But obviously, with all the fans going back and forth on his Bumble King forums and elsewhere where he would, poke his nose in and all that, it just became too much. And he's like, look, I'm not going to deal with this anymore. No more Sonic and Sally. Oh, and definitely no Sonic and Amy, and all that. Instead, I'm going to hint at romances outside of the game characters, outside of them. Which is why you would have, like the LGBTQ romance of Nicole and Sally, although it wasn't officially stated that way, the way they would be portrayed at times, and even at Ian's own admittance, there was no doubt that that was the direction they were leaning in. Same with Bunny and Antoine. Non-game characters that are still part of Sega, still part, of the Sonic verse, the Sonic universe, that's okay. But those in the game, not so okay. So yeah, he tried, but again, fans didn't help or anything. So he just said, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. Even though he wanted to kind of make it happen, because basically he as a fan wanted to see it happen as well. He as a fan was a fan of it himself. So you kind of see exactly what this one girl at Awesome Comics during the panel discussion of The Killing Joke, came to be. You kind of see that. You kind of see where she's coming from. Yes, not a lot of people agreed with the prologue's portrayal of Batgirl Barbara Gordon because a lot of people felt it was OOC, out of character for her to act that way. Wanting to basically have the thrill of adventure that would basically arouse her in erotic ways, to where basically it ends up giving us the scene that basically not a lot of fans were, particularly fond of, period. But when you really think about it, though, this one girl does have that point. I mean, you can't tell me, for any of you listening and watching this, you can't tell me you wouldn't do the same thing. You can't tell me you wouldn't have, because you would. If Sega said, hey, we got a new animated Sonic show coming out, after Sonic Prime, which they don't, as of right now, that is. But if they said they did, and they said, Jay Foxfire, we want you to write some episodes for us, and we'll let you write whatever you want, and we'll try to make it work. You don't think Jay Foxfire, being a Sonic Sally fan herself, supporter, wouldn't take that opportunity to be like, okay, one of the first episodes I'm going to write, Sonic and Sally being together. You don't think she'd take that opportunity to write something like that, right? To where she'll build up to them getting together. You don't think she would take that opportunity? Of course she would. Of course she would. Same with anybody that's a fan of Sonic and Amy. If a new show comes around and someone said, okay, we're going to give so-and-so here an opportunity to do an episode or a few, and that so-and-so that person, I should say, is a Sonic Amy supporter, of course they take that opportunity. Of course they'd be like, okay, first episode I'm going to do is try to put Sonic and Amy together. Of course they would. If they were given that opportunity, like Bruce Timm has been given, when he was on the DC Animated Universe run, that he was on, and still kind of is. Because, we got the Cape Crusader coming out real soon, I think, on Amazon. But basically to make this less, ramble-ish, if you will, when you really get down to it, I don't think any of us would miss the opportunity, or forget, or basically pass up the opportunity, I should say, to have a chance, maybe if just once, to put our own favorite ships, our own favorite romantic ships together in any capacity. I don't think any of us would miss out on that opportunity because we would take it. There is no doubt. We would absolutely take it, no matter what. And then it would be up to the other writers, if communication was good, to try to make it work within their stories. And if they want to just ignore it, be like, hey, we understand that this romance is now canon, but we're going to ignore it or kind of hint at it, but not really go any further than that, then that's fine. That's fine. As long as, you as the writer come back and be able to write your episodes to where you can make it, acknowledged, in the process, that's all that matters. So, I see where this girl's coming from when she basically says that if she had that opportunity that Bruce Timm does, that she would do the same thing. I think that speaks volumes for all of us, because we'd all do it. Now, is that the right way to go when you're writing, stories and everything? No. And Bruce Timm knows this. Because there are examples in other DC animated projects he's taking part in, to where basically he knows, hey, as much as I want to do this, or pair these people up here, pair this couple up here, I can't do it. I have to try, something else. I have to go, in another direction, because I got to be more balanced. And that's the key, being balanced. Not trying to, shove your favorite romantic ship in everybody's face and everything in the process, but be balanced to where, like, you want to do it, but you're going to have to hold off, And he understands that. And that's what a writer does need to do. Whether they're just a fanfic writer, a fan webcomic writer, studying writing, in college and whatever, one thing they are taught and one thing they learn on their own is to be balanced. Like, as much as you want to go one way and showcase something that you want to have, made official, you also realize you got to go this way. Again, going back to Ian Flynn, that's why apparently, he even though he wanted to do Sonic and Sally and everything and move forward with it, which again, nobody denies and all that, he couldn't, as much as he wanted to do that and try to balance it, he just couldn't because the fans wouldn't let him. It's kind of like with any fan base. I mean, let's be honest. If Disney came to us and said, hey, we want you guys to write official episodes and stories for Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, you can't tell me you wouldn't pass up that opportunity because you wouldn't. If it paid well and all that, of course, but you can't tell me that you'd pass up that opportunity because whether you like them or not, it's Disney. And to have Disney on your resume as somebody you worked for, that's a big deal in its own right. But you can't tell me that if they said, we want you guys to write certain episodes and we'll let you have a little bit of free range to put whatever you want in there, you can't tell me if you're a Chip and Gadget supporter, you wouldn't want to do an episode to tease maybe something between Chip and Gadget. Or if you're a Dale and Gadget supporter, you wouldn't tell me you'd tease something happening between them, because you would. I mean, Ian Brill, when he wrote the Boom Studios Rescue Ranger comics, he acknowledged the on and off romance friendship between Foxglove and Dale. Basically, it was a romance friendship to where, if it was on, yeah, they were boyfriend girlfriend. If it was off, they were just friends because of Dale's jobs as a rescue ranger. But still, he acknowledged it. He didn't have to. But he did, because obviously as a fan, a fan of the show, he was also a fan of the ship. That's what I was trying to say. And, and if you were given the opportunity to say, write an episode bringing Foxglove back and pairing her up with Dale, you can't tell me you wouldn't, because you would. Because you would. You would do it. The same with any other franchise, like TMNT. You can't tell me if Nickelodeon said, okay, we're bringing in Yumiko, Ninjara, and you already have Raphael in the IDW books paired up with Aloplex. You can't tell me you'll be like, okay, Raphael's got Aloplex. Let's put Ninjara Yumiko with Donatello. You can't tell me you wouldn't do that, because you would. I mean, let's be honest. Some fans probably want to see Yumiko Ninjaro with Michelangelo just for the stark contrast and personalities. You know, opposites attract deal. You see, you kind of see what I'm saying, right? You see what I'm saying? You know, if we had the opportunity on an official capacity, we would, you know, and given a little bit of free range, we'd probably do it. We'd probably do it. But here's the thing. That's not always the case, because even if we were given that opportunity and have that bit of free range, it wouldn't be totally free, because if, let's say we tune in the script and they say, oh yeah, everything looks good, except for one thing, and that one thing is your ship, then guess what? As much as you want to have it in there, you got to have to take it out, or you got to work it in there to where it's not so obvious, and it's just more like, yeah, there's little glances here and there, you know. But yeah, the point that I'm getting at, you know, from listening to that one panel, you know, and also listening to all the other reviews and discussions, you know, it's like if we had the opportunity to do something, we would. If we had the opportunity to do something officially with any franchise, we would, especially if it gave us the chance to, on screen or in an official comic, put our favorite ship together. We would do it. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind we would do it. You could sit here, you know, you could sit here and everything and say that wouldn't happen, it's not going to happen, and ... You could do that. And the only way it would never happen is if the people you would turn in your final script to would say, yeah, everything's good, except you got to fix that. And the only way you would fix it is by basically saying, okay, we'll just do this, to where it's hinted at, but not totally a thing yet. That's about it. But yeah, getting back in closing to what she said, you know, in that panel discussion, she's right. You know, she is absolutely right. There is no doubt, in my opinion, that if she had the opportunity to put her favorite ship officially onto something, she would. You know, just like Bruce Timm. And that's what he does. That's what he does. He puts that pairing together of Barbara and Bruce, or any other DC pairing he feels is, you know, suitable for each other, because it's what he would like to see, you know, officially continued in all incarnations of, you know, the character, you know, in this case being Batman. But yeah, I believe if we had the power, just like this girl said, we'd all probably do the same thing. We would. But let me know what your thoughts are. Would you, in your own right, if you had the opportunity, would you do the same thing? Would you use the opportunity to pair up your favorite ship? Or would you take the opportunity to basically be like, yeah, I want to do it, but I'm not going to do it, I'll just hint at it? What are your thoughts? If you had the opportunity, let me know down below in the comments or in the live chat during the premiere. Like the video, and until next time, I am out.